Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ken Judd. I'm the CFO with Keste. I'm glad you could join me this afternoon. Really what I'm talking to you about this afternoon is the title of the presentation is Key to Driving Success with Financial Leadership to Drive Revenue Growth. Really what I want to talk to you guys about is a case study of how we implemented professional services automation software to help drive the organization. Some key takeaways we got from that, and some programs that we implemented to really drive revenue growth and establish a platform for long-term operations. So I'd like this to be somewhat of an interactive session, if that's okay with you guys. I've got the obligatory Q&A slide at the end, but to keep some energy in the room and to keep it going, if you guys have questions, feel free to jump in, interrupt. If something's not clear, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking and what's on your mind. Maybe I'll start off, maybe to set the stage a little bit. I'd like to get a feel for what kind of companies we got here, because I think what I'm going to talk about has lessons for many companies, if not most companies, what will be probably most relevant to smaller organizations. So who's here $1 billion and up in revenues? So we got large companies here. We got one, two, we got a couple. 250 and under? Okay, so most of you guys. I mean, 100 or less? Okay, good deal, good deal. So hopefully you'll find this interesting and relevant to your organization. So as far as the agenda goes, what I want to do is I want to set the stage, give you some context as to what I'm going to talk about in the case study. I'm going to do a little bit of a Keste commercial, introduce who we are. And at our core, we're consultants, we're systems integrators, and I'll spend more time on that. Talk about the KPIs that drive our organization, talk about the platform that we implemented to help drive the organization forward, and then really go into screenshots of my live production system. I'm going to show you how we actually implemented this to capture some of those KPIs and the changes that we made as a result of being able to measure those KPIs that enable us to help drive the growth of the organization. Fair enough? All right, so who's Keste? You know, what do we do? We're consultants. We make our money 1 hour at a time. Okay, we're systems integrators. We're based in Dallas. Operate 2 solution centers, one in Dallas, one in Hyderabad, India. But I'm about, it says 200 plus, we're about 250 people now. About 180 of those are front-end delivery consultants. We're an Oracle Platinum partner. We don't do out-of-the-box greenfield implementations. We help large enterprise accounts solve real business problems. I've got practice areas across the Oracle stack, in applications, in middleware, down into hardware. What we want to do is, I don't go out there and I don't sell point solutions on services. I'm not out there as an Oracle security expert. I'm not out there as an Oracle EBS expert. I have skill sets there, but what we want to do is we want to help organizations use technology to solve real business problems. And I'm talking about things like driving customer experience at a portal, at a website, to drive transactions. Internal customers as well as external customers. Just delivering a great customer experience when they're using that technology. We make the software work like the demo that you got when you bought the software, is what we do. So we talked about some of the practice areas, complete across the stack. So I've got a wide range of practice areas that I need to manage. Again, setting the stage, why this was important to us. Keste is about 9 years old at this point in time. I've been there about 5. I joined the organization in late 2008. Small organization, just under $9 million, privately held. We control our own destiny. I have no outside debt. I have no outside investors. Very important to manage the organization effectively because all I've got is retained earnings. Okay, that's what I use to drive growth. Every dollar is reinvested back into the company. I mentioned 2009, slight growth there. 2009 is a data point here. That's when we implemented the PSA solution. I'm going to talk about change point. That's when we recognize a need. I've got a growing organization. I've got to put a platform in that will scale, that will allow me to manage all of these consultants across the country and around the world in the various practice areas. This year we'll be a $30 million professional services organization. Not the biggest organization in the world, but I think for what we do, I'm pretty proud of that growth. So for the 4th year in a row, we were named to the Inc. 5000 list just a couple of days ago. I'd like to say that's solely due to me joining the team, but I think that's more of a coincidence. I think the core values of the organization were set prior to me getting there. And as far as future vision, I talked about a platform for scalability. I can see before the end of 2014 we're going to be at a $50 million run rate on professional services. So the platform is there, the growth is starting to tick up and accelerate, and I can certainly see us being a $100 million organization within a couple of years. So that's Keste, just to kind of give you some background on what we're doing and what we want to talk about. One more slide, sorry about that. So what do our engagements look like and who do we sell into? I think that's important too. So I said we sell into enterprise accounts. This is not an exhaustive list of our customers, but certainly names that you recognize. You know, Qualcomm, Sherwin-Williams, Verizon, Logitech, Agilent Technology, TJSU, large organizations. A typical statement of work. We tend to do projects in phases. We want to get successes off the ground. We want to deliver a project in bite-sized pieces, so that the stakeholder, whether that be on the business side or the IT side, can quickly demonstrate success to the people that they need to report to, and it makes budget dollars a lot easier to free up for subsequent phases. If you go on a big bang approach, that can be a challenge in getting projects approved and certainly getting them implemented. So typical statement of work is about 200 to 500,000, 4 to 12 weeks in duration. I mentioned phases, multi-year projects as statement of work 1 is phase 1, and then additional phases come up. Typical engagement might have 3 to 10 delivery consultants, but we've had some big ones where we've had 50 plus on site. So you can imagine some of the complexities that go in with managing these people as they're flying all over the country and trying to deliver complex solutions. So what's important to us? I mean, how do we manage these projects? How do we manage the business? So these are the KPIs that are certainly important to us. We're a consulting firm. How many hours did I bill, right? What are the realized rates, right? Very important. Utilization stats. I need to know how much did you work versus how much you worked. And if you're more, I need to reward you for that, right? What are the costs and margins associated with the individual engagements? But also, what are the costs and margins for the individual people? And I'll come back to that when I talked about how we implemented some changes to the way we do things, but that's important as well. Engagement milestones, right? That's important. If I'm going to do these big solutions, I got to be able to measure milestones and events, budgets, spend to date, and estimates to completion. I need that to manage the business, and I need to report that information to my customers, right? They want to know where are they. Most of the time we're taking responsibility for project management, so that's important. And I touched on this a second ago, multiple dimensions. I need to know it at the individual resource level. Those people, what are they doing? What are they contributing to the organization so I can reward them appropriately? At the customer level or the engagement level, that's important to me. What are my profitable projects? What are my profitable practice areas? And then certainly when I roll the practice areas up to business units, you know, what are things that we want to invest in going forward? What are things that we want to get rid of that just, yeah, they're interesting, but you know what? We don't make any money doing it. So if that's the case, let's shut it down. So in order to do all that as a consulting firm, you need a platform, right? You need something that you can't just wing it, right? I need something that's solid. And the general term, the generic term is professional services automation software. Very specifically, we chose a product called ChangePoint. They've got an exhibit out here. I encourage you to stop by and talk to them. But I promised the performative people that I would minimize my commercial with respect to ChangePoint. So somebody give me a shot clock violation if I bring up that name again. But anyway, that platform is mature. It's fully baked. It's got everything I need to manage the professional services organization, individual engagements. Let's see, let's go through this. I mean, if I went through the circle, I'm not exactly sure where it starts here, but I got resources. I assign the resources, time and expenses, statuses, invoicing, RevRec, on and on and on. I've got a full platform to manage those projects and to manage those assets that I talked about. And assets means lots of things. We operate it as a synthetic cloud. Okay, for various reasons, we wanted it on-prem. We wanted to control it. But this solution is accessible anywhere. I've got people in India. I've got people in the United States. I've got people all over the United States out in the field on individual engagements. They need to access the system through a browser. So we operate as a synthetic cloud with the software hosted on-prem at my facility. It's a knowledge repository for me. It's one place for me to manage all my contracts and documents. So all of my master contracts that I have with my customers, all of the individual statements of work, all of the change requests that might go into a consulting engagement, NDAs, anything else the customer might throw at me, the travel policies. But all my people can go to one place, and if I'm looking for something for that customer, that engagement, it's right there. And I'm sure you've heard this today more than once, but it's a single source of the truth. If I want to know exactly what's going on, I'm using ChangePoint. There's my shot clock violation. I'm using the PSA platform to run our operations. I'm a small organization. Quite frankly, my financial reporting requirements are nil. I'm privately held. I report to the 2 members. I've got a small working capital line. I give financials to the bank. But my financial reporting requirements are very, very small. This platform is more important to me to run the organization than an ERP system. Okay? What's that? You use Oracle as your financial platform? I am much too small to run Oracle. I've been a little embarrassed to tell you my current platform, but I'm telling you I'm going to upgrade to Microsoft Dynamics. That project has started. I'll be live before the beginning of the next calendar year. All right. So let's see. Let's take a look at some of the screen grabs that I have. This is screen grabs from my production data. And I'm going to start from the ground down and work my way up. I'm going to start at the individual resource level, show you the type of information that's in there, and then how we build it up to measure performance through those KPIs. So this is pretty generic, pretty basic. This is an individual resource view. This is one of my superstars, Dheeraj Chambra. I've got his name, address, basic information. Not a whole lot to get excited about here. Maybe more interesting, I can start to track his complete engagement history. I know exactly, and this doesn't capture everything here, I know exactly what companies he worked for. I know the project. It doesn't show on the screen grab. I know his start dates. I know when he rolled off. I know how many hours he worked on those projects. I start to get a picture of what Dheeraj is contributing to the organization. I know just from interacting with him that he's a really sharp guy. He's a superstar. He's one of our best. But I've got concrete data behind that to support my feelings and how we derive compensation and rewards. Talked about measuring investment rewards. So let me step out here a little bit. So this is a snapshot of Dheeraj for 2012. And it shows he billed out almost 1,800 hours. So his utilization rate was pretty high. As we measure capacity at just over 2,000 hours. I know exactly the amount of revenue that he drove. I know what he cost the organization, and I know his contribution margin. So I've got it down to the individual level. And without a platform like this, I wouldn't have that information. And just if I did have it, it'd be hard to get, right? I'd be running spreadsheets all over the place. It's very difficult. So we started analyzing this data after we implemented the system. A couple of interesting and surprising patterns jumped out. And one of the most interesting to me was for my delivery consultants. I expected to see a normal distribution on their hours and their utilization. Okay, you know, you got people right in the middle, and I got people either at the high end or the low end, on the tail ends of that curve. That's not what we found. We found the data to be 2 peaks with a valley in the middle. My superstars were carrying the load, right? They are just killing it. They're working 50, 60, they're billing 50, 60, 70 hours a week, carrying the bulk of the brunt. They're traveling all over the place. And I've got laggards. And laggards, maybe it's their fault for some reason. It could be a management issue. We haven't trained them properly, or we haven't weaved junior resources into our engagements to drive profitability. But what I expected to see was a normal curve, and I got 2 peaks. A little bit unexpected. Superstars and laggards. So what can I do with this at the individual level, right, with this platform? What does it allow me to do? One, I can create very targeted variable compensation plans for individual people. Okay, I can lay out very clearly, and they can self-regulate, and they can see this information on a semi-real-time basis. What's their utilization? What's their revenue that they brought into the organization? And what was their contribution margin? With that data that I just showed you, they have the ability to create an individual dashboard. They record their time every day, at least they should be, and they can run the report. They can look at the dashboard. Here's where I'm at, and here's where I'm tracking to my compensation plan. I'm able to create team rewards. Sometimes if you just looked at the utilization data in a vacuum, their utilization stats, oops, I thought I was going to get a great question there, but that's okay. Sometimes if you look at just utilization rates in a vacuum, they might be low for some reason, and what you find out that person's really managing a team. They're leveraging a team. So I'm able to create, both at the individual level, I can create these compensation plans at a team level. I want to weave in junior resources. Quite frankly, they're more profitable. There's rate pressures out in the marketplace. So if I can get a guy to make sure he's managing a team of 10 junior resources, that's good for everyone in the organization. Intern and fresher programs, they're one and the same. Fresher program is what it's called in India. But I've touched on junior resources more than once. Quite frankly, they're more profitable. And in the consulting world, I'm not sure what businesses everyone is here, there's tremendous rate pressure. We've never had a labor shortage in the space that I'm in. In fact, there is a labor shortage. I've never had labor abundance, excuse me. People are hard to find. They want to get paid. So I need to pay them. I need to make sure I can charge a rate that allows me to pay them. We need to weave in younger talent into the mix when we deliver projects. And what do I get from that? I get higher employee satisfaction. People aren't getting burned out as much as I can balance the load better and reward people for what they're doing. And I've got visibility into a situation that allows me to manage utilization rates and margins. So that's what I can do at the individual level, just based with this platform that I've implemented. Any questions about this part so far? All right, let's forge ahead. So I'm going to take it up to the next level. Now I've got that similar information at a customer level, right? So basic customer information. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time with this. I got names and addresses in the system, right? Key contacts. Who are they? Again, emails, phone numbers. I could do some interesting stuff with that. But again, here's where it starts to get interesting. Okay, again, I've got complete engagement history for a customer. What are all the projects? And these are signed statements of work, is what this is. What were the projects that we did? When did they start? What were the revenues associated with them? That's a snapshot. I can drill into each one of these and get more details about those engagements. Contracts. I mentioned contracts, deposits, knowledge repository. I think this is a little small, but for that customer that I was showing there, which I think was Constellation Brands, these are the contracts and knowledge items that are in the system. I've already click on any one of these. I have the ability to open it up and read it. Okay, it's right there at my fingertips at all time, accessible from wherever I need to be. Here's where it starts to get a little interesting. These are our stoplight analyses that we do on a weekly basis. This isn't an out-of-the-box report from ChangePoint. But what it is it's a data dump and then a macro that we run just to get it into a UI that we're comfortable in dealing with. So on a weekly basis, I've got access and visibility into each engagement, real time or semi-real time as it's going on. So I can have visibility into a problem if one exists in time that I can take action to fix it. And we've had this in the past, and it happened a couple times in a significant way prior to implementing the platform. If I got guys jamming non-billable time into a project and I don't know about it until weeks or months down the road, I got a huge problem. One, I'm going to lose my shirt on that engagement, and I've probably lost any ability to go talk to the customer about what's going on with that engagement, and we get a change request implemented so I can get paid and recoup some of those monies. So this is very important.
Projects do you have at any one time?
I'm sorry?
How many active projects approximately?
At any one point in time, we probably have between 30 and 50 active engagements. So it's a fairly robust portfolio.
Can you review those weekly, or?
Each project is reviewed weekly with the project manager and the head of the PMO office. If there's anything significant that needs to get reported out of that, they can send out appropriate communication to whether it's finance or other executives or other team members that need to help those guys with the situation. Okay, so customer level, we talked about that. So again, what came out of this? Mid-course real-time project corrections. I think we spent a fair amount of time talking about this, but I can act quickly. I can get change requests done. I get better status reports out to my customers. I can give them visibility into the engagements. Here's where we are. Here's how much money we've burned. Here's what the estimate is left to complete. Are we, in some reasonable range of what we thought it was going to be? Customer investment reporting. This was an interesting find that came out of the data that we looked at. I mentioned rate competition. Customers are only willing to pay so much. But what I'm able to do now is change the discussion a little bit. I can show them, okay, here's what you paid for, but let me show you all the other work that went into this engagement that you didn't pay for. I can get into a value discussion with these guys. Okay, you paid me X amount of hours, X amount of rate, you paid me this much, but you know what? Look at all these other people that charged into your account, and they moved this project forward. And if I take that discussion into a value discussion, and I get into a net rate discussion, not your gross rates that you're going to pay, if I take all of the hours that were going into that project, it changes the view of that project, and customers start to see the value that we're investing into their projects, into their organizations. So it just gives me some more bullet points in my quiver. Contract improvements. This was interesting, not something that you would normally expect to see out of operational data. But when we have visibility into leakage, when I have visibility into where projects go off the rails, and some specific examples might be, a lot of times, you know what, it's the customer's fault. Customers said they were going to do A, B, and C, and they didn't do it. So in order to move the project along, we did it. So I invested additional time, caused the project to be delayed. But you know what? We improved our contracts process. Out of failure comes better results, right? We're not perfect, but we get better all the time. So I was able to rewrite contracts, going forward, rewrite statements of work that were more specific about the responsibilities. Okay, here's what the Keste guys are going to do. But you know what? In order to deliver that time period to that price, here's what I expect you to do. And it's worked out pretty well as far as eliminating a lot of misunderstandings down the road at project go live time. And then overall leakage, of course. So let's go one step higher. I talked about individual people. I talked about customers and engagements. All of these things roll up into business units. Our business units are fairly high level. I've got defined right now in applications. So all my applications practices roll up to one business unit leader. He's the guy that's responsible for that. My middleware practice areas, which would be my SOA connectivity, my content, my portals, those roll up into one guy. My infrastructure and my hardware teams roll up to one guy. So now I can start get lines of business unit reporting as to what's going on. These reports are right out of the ChangePoint system. So ChangePoint's got some nice colorful report options. Forgot what snapshot time frame this was. But I can show my APAC projects, my US projects. Here's my revenue by applications, business unit, BI, consulting, EIG, which is integration and governance. So I've got these great but these are the revenue numbers. I can click the drop-down boxes, and drill in further to those. So again, semi-real-time reporting back to the business unit leaders. I mentioned I don't have a real robust financial reporting system. So in lieu of that, this allows me to load cost data, starting at the individual resource level. I can build it up. I can give some actually reasonably accurate sense of the profitability of those business units and those projects as they roll up. Capacity planning. Again, you could do this by spreadsheet, but why would you want to? It's really just a nightmare to do. I'm in the people business. That's what I do. My factory is delivering people hours. I built the platform. I have to understand the capacity of that platform. Where do I have idle time? Where do I have labor shortages? When can I deliver the products? The products meaning the services that people order, that customers order. The platform allows me to do that capacity planning. And again, this is just really a slice and dice of that individual resource data. So down to my business unit, again, I can show the billed hours. What was utilization rates for that individual business unit? What was the revenue, the cost, and their contribution margin for any point in time? And this is all data that's just easy to access. I can put it in a dashboard. I can put it into a runtime report. Easy to access. And it's actionable. So what can I do with this? Again, I touched on this earlier, but where am I making money? Okay, I've got a lot of practice areas in the company. I've got more than 15. It's a strength and sometimes it's a weakness. Okay, I can deliver complete business solutions, but you know what? Managing and making sure that all those people and those practice areas are humming along and making money for us, that can be a challenge. Maybe I need to kill off some of the practice areas that we're not. I offer them out there. They're part of a solution when we offer it, but maybe I need to move more to a contractor model. I didn't say much about that earlier, but 95% of my delivery consultants are full-time employees. I carry a bench because I want to control the supply chain. Okay, my preference is not to use contractors, but sometimes it makes sense, right? If I don't want to carry that bench. Individual resource planning, I think that's self-explanatory. Capacity planning, recruiting direction. Okay, so I'm in a competitive market space. In a company of 250 people, I've got 6 full-time recruiters. I've got 4 in the U.S. and 2 in India. Right, so when I know what's going on in the individual practice areas, individual skill sets, I can give direction to the recruiters. Hey, these are the people that I'm looking for. These are the skills that are hot. These are the skill sets where we make money. Go find me some. Go find me some, right? So I can hire those people and bring them onto the team. And I touched on this. It's proxy for full P&L reporting. I'm moving to that. I need to get there. I need to get better as the organization grows. Where we are right now, it's causing some issues. So I'm taking steps. But in the meantime, ChangePoint does a pretty good job of giving the users visibility into profitability at various levels and dimensions, as we talked about. And it's fast. CFO Focus on operations. I heard that in a couple of sessions that I was at earlier today. People said the CFO needs to get out of the number crunching, needs to get out of the back office, green eye shade kind of stuff. This platform allows me to do that. In fact, it allows me to get beyond operations. I probably spend more of my time focused on top-line revenue generation activities than I am with operational activities. We're not perfect here. We've got some things to improve on, but allows me time to focus on other areas of the business. And we talked about the compensation plans. I think that's real important. Allows us to tailor those compensation plans and reward people that are performing and deserve to be paid. So we talked about these throughout. I think a lot of this is obvious stuff. That's why we always talk about Captain Obvious in our company. Sometimes when you break it down, business isn't always that hard. It's just doing the basic blocking and tackling, but you need a platform to do it if you're going to scale in any meaningful way. So we invested in a platform. The platform that we invested in is a PSA platform by ChangePoint. Gives us visibility end to end and through multiple dimensions. It absolutely is one of the keys to our success and very important to us. So with that, I'll give you the obligatory Q&A slide and open up the floor to any questions. What percentage of contracts are fixed price versus time and material? For us, it's a low percentage for fixed price engagements. I actually like fixed price engagements as we get more history and stronger with what we're doing. Because of some of these tools, I can define them better and I can put the proper boundaries around them. But direct answer to your question is probably 5% as far as number of contracts. But I think we're getting more comfortable with them because of the information we have out of the platform. And customers, they'll ask for them, but when you throw a contingency factor into it, they kind of step back. They think, I don't really want to pay that.
And I was wondering, do you use the system for forecasting, or do you do that sort of separately and outside the system?
The system has resource planning capabilities, and that's just, we haven't implemented that functionality to the best that the software can handle it. That's one of the next challenges for us, is to get that resource management functionality implemented in the system. What ChangePoint will do, and it will give me the capacity planning, give me the revenue projections for closed deals. It's got some small CRM functions built into it, but to really match and marriage sales forecasts with the capacity planning, that still takes some intervention.
How are you doing your sales forecasting?
I actually use Oracle CRM on Demand as a tool that we use, just like most people have a CRM system. Anything else? All right. Well, listen, thank you for letting me have the opportunity to talk about Keste and our PSA platform. I'll be around if you want to follow up with any questions. I'll be attending some of the sessions or hanging out over by the exhibit space. I would invite you to stop by and talk to the good folks from ChangePoint. If any of this is pertinent to your business, I think they've got something to offer you. So, thanks.